Where do I start? I used to go to a secondary school that was supposedly specialised in language, and when I had the choice in year 7 of doing Spanish or French, I was super excited. So when I got to year 7, I was like, yeah, 3 classes of Spanish twice a week, every week, for all the weeks of school. Wow! I was like blown away. But then I realised that schools don't really prepare you for what the outside world would use. You don't learn anything about slang, sentence structure outside of saying how many brothers you own if you go swimming. You just don't learn like anything that useful. And I want to combat that. I want to like help stop the laziness of people who don't learn languages. I'm fed up of speaking to people who are older than me, saying things like, we don't need to ever study another language. English is the international language. Well, originally German and Japanese in around the 80s were supposed to become the official languages of the world. But then America came in and like fucked all that shit up, so like now everyone speaks English and stuff. But it could have been super different. Instead of going to school and having to learn English as like a second language like a lot of countries do now, those countries could have been learning German and Japanese. And I'm not sure if those countries would have the same attitude that English-speaking countries have to learning languages if the idea of learning another language was presented. I was talking to an old colleague of mine, Turkish-born. She had a son a few years ago and she's teaching him Turkish and English. And we were talking about how she wanted to teach him Kurdish, which is her mother's native tongue. But she says she doesn't understand the point because her son's in England. He doesn't even need to learn Turkish. And that really like made me realise that the attitude that English speakers have is starting to affect those who should be proud of their languages, proud of their roots. It's no fun if the whole world is only communicating in one language. I feel a little bit guilty because the only language I do speak is English. I kind of hold a grudge against the failing education system of Britain for that. Because, like I said, they don't prepare you for anything you need for the outside world. What can I say in Spanish? Tengo dos hermanos y voy a la playa. Biblioteca. I would love to have learnt Spanish properly. If I could have done it as an A-level, if I had that kind of knowledge, I would have so gone for it. But I don't have that knowledge because I was only getting C's, so I wasn't valued. I think it'd be cool to do this and see how many other people, if anybody tunes in, do decide to take on learning a new language or inspire their friends to learn another language. Because even if 1 or 2 people turn around and say something like, yeah, actually I am going to learn Mandarin, actually I am going to study Italian, I'm going to go learn Thai, like that is what makes me happy. Since coming to university, which is where I am now, I think it's important to surround yourself with like a diverse pool of people. I think there needs to be quite a lot of like unison in the world. And right now there is no unison. I dislike when people say things like you live in England or you live in America and speak English. I think it's important to have people show us what their culture is, show us what their language is. I think it's awesome that there are people who come over here and like they end up learning English from scratch, they end up like getting a job, sometimes end up having a family. And I've heard so many tales of people who've like come to the UK and like started a life over here but didn't originally speak English. It makes me want to rejoice in happiness for how far they've come. I also kind of want to use this as like a way for myself to use language more. I'm trying to study a language and it is like semi-successful. I'm learning alone. Some people don't like to learn alone. Some people don't like to learn in class. Everyone's got their own preferences, but I'm hoping that at the end of this project I can get people to say, yeah, I do want to try and learn a new language. Even if it's just the basics. I want to learn to read an alphabet. I want to learn to read kanji. That's cool. Give it a shot. So many people nowadays, when I speak to them, say things like, I'm no good at learning languages because they got a D on their GCSE French. I don't think you can limit yourself. It's not fair to say that you can't do something just because you failed at it once. If I said that I was bad at learning languages, if I used that as my excuse to not get up and do anything, I don't really know what I would have done to fill the last 5 months of my life. The last 5 months of my life would have been pretty bleak if I hadn't have picked up a language. I learnt to read Hangul in 2015 and I didn't really pick up the language for a little while. I thought, oh, it's cool, it's fun to be able to read a sign or be able to read the name of a new song that's gone viral from one of the bigger stars over there. And then I was like, no, you know what? Why not? I've got nothing to lose. I didn't want to limit myself to speaking English for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm only ever going to speak English. I want to put myself in the deep end and learn as much as I can. Learn different languages, learn dialects. I want to learn languages that are super similar to each other and some that are so different that no words cross over. And I'm hoping that I can encourage other people to do the same. Baby steps. I'm still a baby. I'm monolingual and I can read and write and barely speak in another language. If you try, then you're going to get there. People need to stop excusing themselves or using the excuse that older people tell us of how we're never going to need English. We just need to get on and do it.
Do it!
So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be uploading videos of word projects. I'll just be covering a range of topics that I think will be interesting enough to spark something to inspire someone else to learn a new language. Well, I'm gonna go. That's all for today, so I hope to see you next time. I hope you stick around to learn. So it's always good to learn, so bye.